Welcome to Santa Carla, murder capital of the world.
Sun, surf, and vampires?
This week on Friday Night Fright Night, we're heading back to the neon soaked 1980s for The Lost Boys, the movie that made vampires cool, sexy, and absolutely deadly. Hang on tight, we'll roll the intro. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Friday Night Fright Night. I'm GC from the YouTube channel Face the Movies.
And I'm Lee from Cinema Whiplash. Tonight, we're flying straight into one of the most iconic cult horror films of the 1980s, The Lost Boys.
Directed by Joel Schumacher. I
Schumacher.
always have trouble saying his last name. This film turned vampire mythology on its head, bleeding horror, humor, and MTV style swagger into something that defined a generation.
Yes, the MTV generation. It's got teenage rebellion, killer fashion, and one of the best soundtracks in horror history.
So hang tight for the first few minutes. We are going to have spoilers, and then after that, hang on. We should be good. I mean, to all our, which I completely messed up the spoiler disclaimer there, but guys, you know what? Let's start over. So for the first part, for all you Santa Carla newcomers, there's gonna be spoiler free, but then
But then we'll probably, once we'll start talking about garlic and holy water, you've been warned, but we'll definitely give you that little warning before we get too deep into it.
that's right, guys. There we go. Now let's jump into a quick little film synopsis. If you haven't seen the film or it's been a while, when two brothers move to the coastal town of Santa Carla, they soon discover it's infested with vampires. As strange disappearances increase, the younger brother teams up with two comic book obsessed vampire hunters to stop the undead and save his brother before it's too late.
Nice. Well, it's a classic, so let's go ahead and start with a couple of icebreakers before we get too deep into the plot. Let me go ahead and start us off here so I can ask GC the fun one first.
Let's do it.
If you had to join one vampire crew in movie history, who are you rolling with?
Oh, dude, definitely the Lost Boys. Are you kidding me? Oh man, like I just freaking David and everybody, they're so cool. And honestly, they're very chill. Like they're very chill dudes. They're out there on their motorcycles, just hanging out, causing a little trouble, feeding here and there. Nothing too crazy. They have that cool ass little lair that we'll get into, but I think I'm definitely rolling with them. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Vampire Crew, definitely. Yeah, I mean, how can you go wrong with these guys? I mean, I wouldn't mind hanging out with some of the other movie vampires, but the actual crew, I mean, these guys look like they have the most fun. They live in California, even though they can't see the sun, but they still go out and they have fun in the roller coasters and that little area of Santa Clara. Oh, I'm sorry, Santa Carla. And yeah, man, it's just fun hanging out with these guys, hanging out with just the crew, riding motorcycles and just having fun. So yeah, definitely go with the same.
Dude, yeah, it's especially me having a motorcycle. Like rewatching this movie, I was like, man, these guys are
Yeah,
cool as shit, man. Like they're just
say
riding their bikes on the beach without glasses or anything, just sand everywhere, and
they will be
perfect.
like, "Can you keep up, Michael?" And you'll be like, "Yes, I can."
Just give me a second because the sand's going in my eyes.
Yeah.
But dude, all right, so let's jump into the serious one.
hmm
Why do you think I was gonna say the Lost Boys still connects with horror fans decades later?
Oh man, I think it's a little bit the aesthetic of the movie. The it's such a colorful movie. It's one that's true like MTV generation. If the new generation wants to know how that was, I mean, there's even a line in this movie where Michael's brothers Sam is like, "Oh man, you know what? This place doesn't have a TV, and that means no MTV." Like this is what the height of MTV era was, and I think for the people that grew up in that era, there's a lot of nostalgia here, plus nostalgia for the movie, actually, obviously. But I think there's also obviously 80s, 90s kids are gonna love it for that, and just because the movie's fun. I think for the new era, if you really want a time capsule of how it was in the 80s, how the kids dressed, the fashion, There's some questionable things going on in this house, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, I think that's why it just decades later, this movie really just if it has nostalgia for the fans, plus it was just a good movie at the time, and for the new fans, I think it's still a fun movie, and it doesn't get too corny as some movies in the '80s can be, and it also has has a time capsule there, so you can experience the '80s. What about
Dude,
for you?
yeah, I agree, man. Like this movie coming out in 87 and it's just right about to hit the 90s. And just the style, the way they spoke, the music, everything. It's just this movie. I mean, it's like you go to a Fright Night, right? An older vampire movie, not too much older, but a few year difference, and you see night and day. Like this one's a very sexy punk rock. Everybody just had the coolest styles. I mean, at least as far as for the vampires. I mean, you see Michael, you see Corey, well, Sam, his brother. Everybody just has their own unique look in a way, their own hairstyles, and it's you could still resonate with it today. And I mean, dude, that soundtrack, that music, seeing people just kind of hanging out, watching live music like that. I mean, it really was the top of MTV era. Like it was the very, obviously no cell phones in sight because at the time there wasn't cell phones
Yeah.
unless they had those car ones. I don't think so. I think that was later in the 90s.
No, they
But
did. They had car ones in the late
oh,
'80s, but
okay.
yeah, of course, it was for like people that were like super rich. No, the average person, like
Yeah.
95% of people, didn't have phones and stuff.
Yeah, David definitely didn't have one on the motorcycle, that's for sure.
Yeah, he didn't need it.
But yeah, dude, I definitely think that people, when they think about vampires, they think about that sexiness, that mysteriousness, that coolness. And this movie represents vampires so well that anybody that's a fan of that genre, they're able to enjoy this film. And that's definitely why they love it so much so many years later.
Yeah, this is the movie that kind of moved from, and it's not. I love the whole gothic vampire thing. I love it, but
Yeah.
this one moved it more, like you said, into the punk rock, into the rock and roll MTV era. For the youth, because vampires were more gothic, and when you talk about Bram Stoker's Dracula and all these movies that came out before this one, I know Friday Night was different too, but yeah, this one brought it more for the new age, for the teenagers, for the mid-20s, and it also shows in what I'm about to get into, the main cast and the characters. You had young blood coming in. You had Jason Patrick. He plays Michael. At the time, I think this was like he was just starting off. We came to know him from making the mistake of making Speed 2, and he made that movie Narc, which I thought was a really cool movie. We got Corey Haim. He plays Sam, his brother. He was in a ton of movies, like Silver Bullet, License to Drive. He did other movies with the other Corey that we'll get into. But here we have Kiefer Sutherland as David. Kiefer Sutherland, he's done a lot of movies. He also did with Joe Schumacher, Flatliners. He's known for the show 24. He's been in a ton of stuff throughout the years.
And he's a
Um,
musician.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's a little bit of a rock star, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Michael could do it all. I mean, not Michael. What's
Kiefer.
David could do it all. The
There we
the
go.
vampire. Then we got Corey Feldman, the other Corey. He plays Edgar Frog from the Frog Brothers. He's known, for the Goonies, Stand By Me. He did a bunch of movies with the other Corey too. He was in Friday the 13th Part 4 as a kid. You got Jameson Newlander as Alan Frog, the other brother. He's mostly known just for the Lost Boys. I know they did some direct to video part
Yeah.
2 and 3 sequels to this movie, and he came back for them, as did Corey Feldman. You got the mom, Diane Wiest. She plays Lucy, and she's been in a ton of movies. Diane Wiest is, she's classic. I just saw her in the new season of No Murders in the Building. She's still doing it, but she's
Nice.
in Edward Scissorhands, Parenthood, and a ton of movies from the '80s and '90s. Um, and then you got Edward Herman. He plays Max. This guy has such a familiar face to me, and I should have looked him up more. I know he was in Gilmore Girls and Overboard, but I've seen him in a bunch of movies growing up. and he's funny because he has like a nerdy look to him. So the little surprise we'll talk about later was pretty cool. I do also want to mention Alex Winter as Marco the vampire because
Yeah.
he is from Bill and Ted. And so I had to mention him, and I also want to mention Jamie Gertz. She plays Star. She's the main girl in this movie, and she is the only billionaire in the cast. So she is a billionaire nowadays. I don't know exactly what she does, but she's ultra rich.
Wait, I thought I thought I heard that too, that she was a billionaire, but
Yeah.
did she marry somebody that was a billionaire, or did she somehow be? I gotta look into that because I
Yeah, I
remember.
didn't I didn't look into it enough because I to be honest, I really don't care about
Yeah,
people's money too much. But I don't know if she did like Salma Hayek that she married a billionaire. Obviously, how Salma Hayek's super rich herself. Anyway, she didn't need that, but I don't know
yeah,
if she started some type of company. But um, but yeah, so that pretty much rounds out our cast. Let's also mention this movie, like you said, directed by Joel Schumacher. Joel
Schumacher.
Schumacher has
Yeah,
this dude has made so many cool movies. He passed away at the age of 80 a few years ago. But I like to mention Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Love that movie.
that's a good one.
Tigerland, The Client, A Time to Kill, Phone Booth, Flatliners. This guy's done so many movies, but I do want to recommend to everybody 8 mm with Nicolas Cage. His darkest movie totally does not feel like a Joe Schumacher movie. Check that out if you have a chance.
Dude. Since we're talking about movies, because I wanted to say real quick, Jason Patrick, dude, Speed 2. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people hated it because they were like, where the hell's Keanu? I love that movie. Like Speed 2 is so much fun, dude. Especially when you're people like us that live near the ocean and there's a lot of cruise ships and stuff. That's one thing I wanted to say, that for anybody out there, man, check it out. It's fun. We have young William Defoe there with the long hair and just,
Yeah.
I mean, these two dudes together, and then you got Sandy, it's Sandra Bullock. So them
I
three
mean,
together, they did a great job, man. I mean,
I
she's
saw it in theaters. Um, I didn't really like it, to be honest, and it's not because Keanu's missing. I just thought, you're doing a movie about speed on a boat on a cruise ship that can't really go that fast. So I
yeah.
don't know. It was a little bit all over the place. But if you want to, so bad it's good movie for some people, maybe. And I know you like it, so that's great. So like for sure, I personally get why people didn't like it, including Sandra Bullock. but but yeah, man, if you want to see Jason Patrick in it, he is good in it. So check it out.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's not like a Oscar winning or like a 5 star
Oh
for
no.
me, but it's definitely just one of those. It's kind of like watching Transformers. Like you just throw it on and you see like all this crazy stuff happening. You're like, ah, cool. You put it in
Oh
the
no.
background while you're cleaning or something.
Oh, I totally get it. I mean, there's plenty of movies out there that people that are universally hated, and I love them or like
Yeah,
them. This is not one for me, but it is for you, and that's great. Like I get it. So that's there's movies out there that I could think of one right now, but maybe
yeah.
some. It's not a horror movie, but it's kind of is. So maybe one day we'll do it. But let's
Well,
go. Let's move on to some questions. Let's do some
a little discussion action.
little
Well,
discussion action.
dude, so we talked about like what connects this film to people decades later, right? But I guess one of the like re-questioning it, redoing it a little bit, like what made The Lost Boys stand out from other vampire movies, particularly in the 80s?
Well, I think it being also produced by Richard Donner, and Richard Donner is famously directed the Lethal Weapon movies, but he's also directed the Goonies in the 80s. And I think what they thought here was let's make an MTV era vampire movie, like you said, punk rock and all that, but also give it the little Goonies flavor to it. Kind of like that, the kids, being together. Like there's a Goonie vibe to this with the Frog Brothers and with Sam, played by Corey Haim. Um, that is probably for me a weak point a little bit in the movie because it gets a little goofy. Which this movie's rated R, but it does have a thing like it brought in the younger audience with these three characters. So I think that's what makes it different. You don't really see too much of that in vampire movies. I know there was a Netflix movie not too long ago that was I think Vampires in Brooklyn or something like that, or the Bronx. I think it's called Vampires in the Bronx. That
Yeah.
has kind of that vibe with these young kids battling vampires, which I thought was a decent movie. So I think that's what separates it really. To get into something different, I think it's the Goonies flavor to it from the 80s that made it different than the vampire movies that came before it.
Yeah, man. I have to agree. I think that that difference is, again, it's a key word. It's like that punk rock, very relatable, very cool type vampires where you weren't afraid of them. Like they just, I don't know, they seem just very approachable. Even when they're just out there kind of raising a little hell and stuff, it just seemed very innocent, very kid-like, even though obviously they weren't like the actors were what 18, 19 years old at the time, and they look like they're 18, 19 in the film for the most part, but obviously they're vampires, so they're way older, but they still acted like they just got out of high school type situation.
Mhm.
And that's what they were made. They were relatable. It's not like Bram Stoker's Dracula and other vampire movies, or like Fright Night, where the vampires just act so different. They act like a lot older, like like ancient almost. So, and then these guys are just fun. Like they just make you want to hang out with them. And not to mention, I think one of the things that stands out with this one out of the other 80s vampire movies, um, it was just the pop culture in it. I mean, you see in Sam's room, for example, he has like the with that questionable, very
Yeah,
suspicious
yeah.
Rob Lowe poster. It's just
There's some
you
homoerotic stuff in there for sure, which were like
yeah.
Nightmare 2 type of thing. But he also has a bunch of women, ladies in there too, posters. So I think Joe Schumacher did say that the reason he put that poster up there was because he made St. Elmo's Fire, that movie. He directed it,
Oh yeah,
and he
yeah.
had the Brat Pack, a lot of them, and he just to give the Rob Lowe, but putting it in the boys' room, unless if he's a gay character, there's no problem with that. But he didn't seem it, so it was kind of weird. I as a heterosexual boy growing up, I don't think I ever had, other than rock stars, but just like a dude, like, you know,
Yeah, that the but that's what it
models.
was, man. It was the particular like style, the
Yeah.
particular poster. But you know what? It's also interesting. So you never see him show any interest in any girl whatsoever. And then his style is very, again, I know it was the late 80s, so it was a lot of like funky styles, but his in particular was very flashy, was very colorful, flamboyant almost. So it was just very interesting compared to everybody else's in the film. Like nobody else in the film you saw them with that type of style. So I don't know. I mean, it could be an 80s thing. I mean, back then guys used to wear those tiny jean shorts, and the belly shirts, and they, as straight as an arrow. So I mean,
Yeah.
it could be looking too much into it, but I thought that was interesting, like the pop culture. Um, again, the music, it was just absolutely just fantastic compared to other 80s vampire movies where the music's like the scores are great, but they're usually more ominous and more, like you were saying, gothic. Compared to this film, it just feels like a music video the entire time. I think also the style, the shoot, the way they shot, the angles and everything in this film compared to other vampire movies, which is so different. It was way more modern, way more like quick, and it looks so much more complicated compared to a lot of the older 80s vampire movies where they look like a lot more simpler shots.
Hmm.
But there's so much, man. There really is so much that stands out with the Lost Boys compared to. Well, I mean, again, I'm a fan of all gothic. I mean, you name it. I just love vampire movies. But this one, it's just it really set the tone for what was going to happen. Because then we have Dust Till Dawn and all these other vampire movies. So I really feel like this one really set the tone and separated it from. If it said this is a new age of vampire now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, staying with that, I mean, let's talk about Joel Schumacher's style, the tone influence. We were just talking about a little bit with the vampire pop culture. Um, I think I think what he did was he saw that this new MTV era was coming, and even the editing is a little bit faster paced than usual. Like we were just talking about, the fashion in the movie is very 80s, very MTV. Some of it is a little flashier than other. You got the vampires having more of like black and leather, and they got earrings, and even like even Sam's, I mean, even Michael, he's like he wants to like fit in with these guys in the beginning, so he's like he goes and he buys the leather jacket and he wants to get his ear pierced, and Star's like, "Oh, I could just pierce it for you. Don't waste your money there." Just the style of dude, I gotta say, like we should talk about the fact that when they go see the live music, you got this famous scene with this guy, oiled up muscle guy, playing a saxophone and singing this cool song, but that really always stood out. I remember earlier this year when I went, and I know they didn't film this. They filmed this in Santa Cruz, California, not in Los Angeles. But when I went to LA, I went to Vienna this year, and they had the guy, like a picture of him by the Vienna beach, the guy with the saxophone and stuff. Like, he's still alive out there, rocking it out. So yeah, it's just that whole style, the differences in what he brought to it, Joel Schumacher, and what we got later on in movies like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Twilight. There is something that he does in this movie that I didn't like, and it's very Twilight actually. I think Twilight saw that and said, you know what, we're going all the way with it. And it's when the kids, the Frog Brothers, they all go to the cave to kill the vampires. Unfortunately, they kill Marco, Alex Winter's character, and
No.
all the blood that drops on them when they come out into the sun, it's all glitter. They're full of all this sticky glitter on them. And I was like, why is the vampire blood glittery? I didn't like that. Um, I think he went too far with it there with the whole style. You don't really see it the rest of the movie, which was cool. I didn't notice when in the finale. And I apologize. We've been going into spoilers for a bit now, just to let you guys know. A little late, but there is more spoilers coming. Towards the finale, you don't see the blood have that like glitter, but I don't know why in that scene. I don't know if something was going on with Marco's character where his blood left all this glitter all over the characters, and that's one little thing that I didn't like, and I'll get into a couple other ones for sure. But yeah,
He
just sticking in with the Joel Schumacher style, you know.
he probably ate like a stripper or something, and that's why he had all the glitter on him. But
Yeah.
dude, so the guy that you were talking about, that's actually Tim Capello, the musician, the one that
Oh,
was singing the song I Still Believe. Dude,
right.
what an iconic scene, man. Like that
Yeah.
song, it's so damn good. Like
Yeah, man. There's still graffiti, like I said, in California of this guy. He's like a freaking well-known guy out there, and it just that freaking scene is awesome, dude. And I always tell people playing around, but I mean it. Like I do miss where rock music sometimes would have saxophones stuff and stuff like that. Like that
oh
was pretty
yeah.
cool how they added to that. You don't hear that too much anymore, but yeah, dude, it's just the iconic stuff that Joe Schumacher added to is really what makes it stand out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he, because I've watched all the special features, like everything on the Blu-ray that I've got, and man, like the idea that came from this, even down to the name, it's just incredible. And it's in a little fun fact I want to throw out to everybody either listening or watching. So one of the people that made the Lost Boys name happen, if you guys are trying to guess, I'm gonna give you guys a second. All right, time's up. It's the man himself, Robert England, aka Freddy Krueger. He actually brought up the name because I can't, from the top of my head, I cannot remember what they were trying to go for, and he was like, "Why don't you just go with the Lost Boys?" Because it has that whole Peter Pan,
Yeah,
not like type situation where it's like you can't die, you can't grow old,
yeah.
but you're young and all that stuff. And they're just kind of literally running around like almost being kids, kind of causing havoc and all that. But yeah, so Robert England, which is awesome when I found out about that because he's one of my favorite, horror villains and actors out there. He just got the star on Hollywood. So congrats to him. That's awesome. Well deserved. But yeah, he was a big part, if not the reason why this movie was called The Lost Boys. But I mean, going back to Joel Schumacher, I mean, dude, this what he did with this movie, he literally saw into the future, and like you mentioned, he was like, we're going into the MTV era, like things are changing, we need to try something different, something new, and he was very flexible, especially with newcomers, new actors coming in. A lot of these people are complete unknowns, and he gave them a shot. Like he really had an idea for the way each of them were going to look and the way everything was going to go. especially for somebody like Jason Patrick. I remember in watching behind the scenes, he saw Jason Patrick out of everybody that auditioned, and he was like, "No, this is the guy." And he even said how this guy, for being an 18-year-old, like the way he looked, I mean, he's a good-looking dude. Like, and it's like he's a specimen. And when he saw him, he's like, "There's nobody else that I wanted. Nobody else that could play Michael. Like, he was perfect for the role. He had the hair, he had the look, and obviously we clearly see that in the movie. I mean, his relationship with Corey Haim in the film as brothers. So even in the very beginning, when they get to the grandpa's house and they're grabbing each other's faces and joking around and stuff, and they're like very close to each other, it seems so natural, so unforced, and Joel was able to create that by casting the right people and everything. I mean, he set the tone for so many things, and casting is one of them in particular. Like, there's not a single person in here that didn't belong.
Yeah. Yeah, and talking about the casting, it goes into our next question would be is David one of the best vampire villains ever? Kiefer
Dude,
Sutherland?
I think so. I think he's definitely up there. He's definitely top 3. Um, I think to me, he exudes everything that a cool vampire villain would be. He has the charm, he has like the comedic timing. He just he has a style, the look, everything about him. It's just very, I don't know, there's something soothing about him. Even though he's a vampire villain, it's just the way he speaks. And it's funny because he doesn't have many lines in this film. He just has like little one-liners. It's like, "Oh, Michael, and this, come on,
Yeah.
Michael. They're maggots, Michael." But uh, yeah, he doesn't have many lines at all. And I remember watching Kiefer talk about the role, and he was saying that he's like, "Yeah, I just have a few catchphrases here and there, but apparently you still feel him throughout the film. Even when he's not there, you still feel David's presence somewhere." Um, but he's definitely good, man.
Yeah.
I definitely top 3. What about you?
Well, even though I'm wearing his shirt,
No.
and I do like him, I for those watching, but I do like him. I like him a lot, but I wouldn't probably put him in my top 5, but close. Top 10 for sure. I Because of what you just said, and I agree with you. His presence is definitely there, but he's just not there enough. This movie really focuses on the brothers a lot, which is great. And he comes out a few times, but I don't know. I think it's just the group. His look is really what stands out. I think obviously since he doesn't have that many. There's another thing about this movie that drives me crazy, and it's the word Michael. It's the name. Obviously, they say it so many times that I had to look it up, and it's actually a fun fact that it's everywhere. Michael is said 118 times in this movie, to the repetitive nature that it drove me nuts when I watched it this time, because I was like, Jesus, man, come on, Michael, Michael, we're over here, Michael, Michael. I was like, bro, if we took a shot every time we hear Michael, you would die 15 minutes into this movie. Like,
I
it's
mean,
way
alcohol
too much.
poisoning.
There's something about the way that they did things for even children sometimes in the 80s that I know I'm in the minority, because people, for example, I'm gonna reveal this, not a fan of the Goonies movies. The movie. I just When I watched it, first watched it, I was a teenager and I thought it was fine. And I tried watching it. I've only seen it 3 times, and the last time I saw it was probably about 4 years ago, no, 3, 4 years ago. And I said this might be the last time I watch this movie as an adult. I find the kids to be extremely annoying. They don't stop screaming throughout that whole movie. It's really hard to get through that movie for me. So, and I know it's very beloved. You guys might cancel me just for saying that, but I'm sorry. That's really is how I feel. I find the kisses drive me nuts, and that brings it to here. Not only with the Michael thing, but for me, the Frog Brothers. And I know we're talking about David, but since we're sticking with the characters, I want to talk about the Frog Brothers too, because um, they are 50-50 for me. I think it's cool to have a movie where you got these really young kids killing vampires and stuff like that. But at the same time, I also feel like Corey Feldman, man, in this movie, he just doesn't do it for me. He tries to use the Rambo voice, because obviously he's got the little Rambo thing on. He's like, "Well, we'll see. If we could do this for you, you should read this comic book." And he's trying to do this voice, like, It's like you're 12 years old, man. You don't have to try to sound like you're 45. But I get it. He's a kid. I don't know. The Frog Brothers just didn't do it for me too much. I definitely like Sam a lot better. Him coming from Phoenix and his story of coming from Phoenix and moving, trying to make friends. And it's like I enjoy the kids doing this and killing vampires. I have no problem with that. But the Frog Brothers, from the acting to the choices they made, weren't that great. I found both Frog Brothers actings to be pretty bad. So yeah, just sticking with characters. I think David's a great character. He's not in it a lot. The Michael thing drives me nuts, and I'm not big on the Frog Brothers. How did you feel about the Frog Brothers? Did that duo really do it for you?
Well, I want to go before we move to that, because there's two things I wanted to talk about, as far as for the Michael thing. So I believe the reason he constantly says Michael was more in a mocking way, but the reason why it's because we have the archangel Michael, what right? Which if any lore like in Christianity and all that stuff, he's a prominent archangel in Abrahamic religions, revered as a spiritual warrior, leader of God's armies, and a champion of justice. So obviously you have good and bad. You have that standoff in the end, which is Michael's like the protector. He's protecting his family, he's protecting everybody, and he's kind of the light. And then you have David, which is dark. So I think that's why, and obviously David being a vampire and unholy and all that stuff. I think that's why he constantly he's like Michael, because he's like mocking him almost. Like he's just he likes him, but he's also kind of mocking him. And it's funny because that dynamic reminds me of one of our favorite movies, the original Point Break, where I mean, again, it's you you have this movie, which now I'm wondering if the Fast and the Furious stole it from Point Break. Did Point Break steal it from the Lost Boys? Because again, we have, instead of surfboards or cars, we have motorcycles. We have a group. We have a girl. The guy's torn because he wants to be friends with the leader, but then he's also in love with the girl. Um, but dude, it's just, yeah, man. I mean, I think that's why he was like doing the whole Michael thing. It makes sense, like if you look at it that way. Um, and
Yeah,
then
but it's not just him that says it. It's the group, his mom, his brother. It's if you put it together, they say his name nonstop in this movie. That's what drove me nuts. I mean, I get that they're mocking him, oh my, like they're messing with him, but
yeah,
I think they should have told. It drove me a little nuts, which that's why I looked it up, and there was a thing. Like there's certain movies where they say the F word so many times that people are like, oh, someone actually sat there and counted it down, and they're like, oh, they say the F word 45 times in this movie. Somebody went and listened to Michael, and it was 118. It was like, because it's a lot. But no, I get it. It doesn't bother me to death or anything. It's just something. It's a little nitpick that I was like, I wish they would, out of 118, 70 would have been plenty. Like,
well,
118 was too much.
I wonder too if it's because of the name. It's a strong name because I don't know how many times they said Sam in there, but I remember like the mom saying Sam like a bunch of times, and Michael saying Sam. But I think just because Michael being the main person, the protagonist and stuff, I think that's probably why. But as far, so yeah, I mean, I wanted to just bring that little thing up, and then as far as for no, not Corey, I was gonna say Corey Feldman. So the reason why he had that Rambo type persona was actually because of Joel Schumacher. So when
Yeah.
he would have Corey Feldman over to kind of discuss, film and talk about the character and everything, he told them, he literally said, he's like, I want you to be like, watch all, this is your homework, watch Rambo, watch all these movies, and this is the character that I want you to be, just like that. And the reason why was because even though he's a kid, he's so influenced by those films, and obviously him be wanting to be like a hunter, especially a vampire hunter. That's why he took on that persona with, with the bandana and everything, because it was literally showing his, especially at the time Rambo was like a big thing. So for us right now watching it, it's kind of like annoying. It's like, why are you doing that? But back then it made sense because everybody loved Rambo and he was kind of like the man's man. So for him doing that at the time, it made total sense. But that was definitely a choice for Joel that he made, where he was like, Corey, this is what I want you to do for this particular character. Um, But as far as for the Frog Brothers, man, honestly, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't have any issues with any of the characters. Like, for them in particular, I thought they did great. They were just comic book nerds, and they were trying to take the thing very serious, but then you could tell in certain scenes that they're way in over their head, and which is
Yeah.
it's pretty funny because they're like, "Oh, call us if you need us," and this and that. But then they really never dealt with a vampire. They're just going off based on off shit that they've read and this and that. So it was kind of funny. They were being really hard, even though deep down they were like, especially when they dealt with that one vampire, and they're like, "Holy hell! Like this, we're so screwed." Like the dog saves their ass big time. But yeah, dude, I know I loved everything about the film. Like there was nothing. Like Frog Brothers were pretty funny. Like they were okay. Definitely better than Goonies, that's for sure. Than the Goonies kids.
Oh
Not as
yeah,
annoying.
hands down, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big Gooner. Like I love the Goonies. Like I think it's a great film. Um for what it is and everything. It's just I think to people growing up with it, it
Oh
means a
yeah,
lot more. For me it's great, it's cool, it's fun, it's a cool little adventure and everything. Hey you guys. But that's it. Like I'm like you. Like I don't like I'll still watch it, but to me it's once every few years type movie for me. Like maybe every 3 years or something. Every 2 to 3 years I could throw it on type situation, but it's not one of the like this one where I could watch once or twice a year. I mean, I could never get tired of the Lost Boys. Like dude, even just throwing it up in the background and the music alone is just it's like watching the old school MTV.
yeah, no, for sure. No, I think it's a generational thing too.
Yeah.
There's plenty of movies, trust me, that I grew up with that are stupid as hell now, and I still enjoy them because they were it's just nostalgic. So yeah, if I was Gen X, I probably would like Goonies more. I'm not saying there isn't a lot of millennials and newer generations that liked Goonies for sure.
Yeah.
That one just does not do it for me personally. No, Frog Brothers definitely not as bad as that at all, and they don't come out that much. And I got the joke, and I had heard about Joe Schumacher making him do that, which I thought, if anything, it just felt like too much. I'm just not a fan of Corey Feldman either. I don't like him as an actor. I think he's never
Oh,
bright, and even as an adult, I find him to be
there it
ridiculous.
is. There it
There
is.
it is.
Lead
Don't
us.
like his music. I don't like his Michael Jackson wannabe stuff, but yeah, don't like. I was a big Corey Haim fan though. Sam, rest in peace. He was great, much better actor, way stronger. Um, but yeah, he rules in this movie. I like him a lot. The Frog Brothers, not so much, but yeah, but it doesn't deter me. I don't. I can still watch it and enjoy it for what it is, for sure. Those are just nitpicks of like, oh, Michael too many times. Frog Brothers not so great. Still a fun movie. Love it. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. So do you think the film balances the talking about the Frog Brothers and stuff, the teen rebellion, the horror elements? Did Schumacher do a good job putting all that together for you?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that he found a way to incorporate vampires and like the teenage angst of relocating to a different state, going through divorce type situation. Obviously, in this story, you have the mom, which is played by Diane Wiest, which we talked about. Mom's name is Lucy. So we have Lucy that she's just the sweetest woman, and we see her in Edward Scissorhands as well. It's almost like playing the same character, but she obviously goes through a divorce, chooses to take the high road and give up her home just to not go through the whole legal stuff. Goes to live with her dad. Her mom's already passed away and everything, so it's just her dad, which is awesome, awesome character and everything, like a character arc, especially at the end. But yeah, so you see the boys, you see Jason, he's Michael, but you see he's 18 years old. I think he's at the time when she says for him going to school, I'm trying to think if he was either a senior or to go to college. Like that, which one of those? Because I know for me in particular, or for us, normally when you graduate high school, you're what 17, 18, unless you're held back or something. But anyway, you have somebody that's in the borderline of already he becoming a man, and then you have Sam, which is still a teen kid reading comic books and everything, still gets scared of horror comic books, and the rerouting from what you mentioned to a whole different state, living with grandpa. He has no cable. no nothing. All the people are completely different. They both have their own styles, or even though they could both be on the same page, one of them's out more into girls. Obviously, if we see in the film, Michael's like attracted to Star and being cool and everything. Sam is just kind of still that kid. But what Joel was able to do, where he was able to add that on there, where it's like, again, children of divorce, relocation, whole different at that time, it must feel like a whole different planet living there, which it looked like, especially in the beginning, like some of the weirdest people in the first few minutes of the film that you see. And then you add the vampire element, right? I think it was perfect, perfect. And you see so many different types of kids too. You have the ones in the comic book shop, the Frog Brothers, which you never see their parents. They're always there. They're always unattended. So clearly, I always wondered if the owners that were sitting at the comic book shop were their parents or not, because you just see those two people just passed out the whole time. Those two hippies.
I
So,
think they mentioned that they're related to them, yeah, and
oh, okay.
that's why. Yeah, I don't remember if it's their parents though, but I think it's, it could be aunt, uncle. I don't know, but they're definitely related. And yeah, you see them opening the store for them, and they work there. They know what they're doing, so they like it's summer and the kids don't have school, so they just let them run the joint.
Yeah, they're just there doing their thing. So you have these kids with their own independence, doing their thing, with their little hobby, and then you have the two brothers, the outcasts, and then you have the motorcycle gang slash vampire gang. Um, but man, it also, I think Joel was able to capture that transition from boyhood to manhood with Michael, because you see that in his eyes, the way he looks at Michael. I mean, the way he looks at freaking David. Sorry, I've probably already said Michael like 100 times, but the way he looks at David in the beginning when Star jumps on the motorcycle, and you see that where he looks at him and he envies him, and he's like, I want to be like this guy. I want to be like this cool man. Like I want to be like, he gets the leather jacket, like you mentioned, he gets the earring, the sunglasses. He gets more swagger. Like you notice the way he walks is different, but it definitely captured it well. That whole wanting to become a man, wanting to meet somebody, and then obviously the teens going through what they're going through and everything. Especially he captured like family and sticking together. I mean, we see that in certain scenes where Sam's like freaked out because he realizes Michael's a vampire. But even though he's Michael's alleged bad guy, Sam doesn't turn his back on him because that's his brother and his family and everything. So yeah, all in all, regardless to that little rant, I think Joel just he captured everything perfectly to me. What about you?
Yeah, this movie, it reminds me. I like the opening. It reminds me of the Karate Kid when the Karate Kid's moving from one town to another, and he's
Yeah.
there driving with his mom. There's a lot of that. You get to see the billboard. It says Santa Clara, and the back says Capital, Murder of the World. Which, fun fact, the actual town of Santa Cruz where they shot was actually known as the murder capital of the world, and that's because in the 70s there was there was two serial killers in that town, and then there was also a mass murder that happened in the 70s. So between the mass murder and the two serial killers, they called it the murder capital in the world. So they kept that in there for it. So I do like the way they captured that. They kept real things in it, from the real town. I do feel like I don't know why, if they ever explained why they would change the the name, because I think the real name of the town, Santa Cruz, is a lot better because that stands for Holy Cross, and it makes more sense for a vampire movie than Santa Carla. But maybe there was a reason behind that, making it more of a fictional town. But yeah, I think Schumacher really captured all that stuff really well. I think he captured, like you said, the brother thing. It also makes me wonder, since I'm not like the hugest fan of what the Frog Brothers do in this movie. I do wonder if I would have liked it more if Michael's brother was just a little bit older. Let's say Michael's 18 and then have Sam be 16, and maybe the Frog Brothers would have been a little older. Maybe they wouldn't have acted the way they did. I don't know. I'm trying to think if it would have made the movie any different for me or not. But I do get why they did it, because of the fame of the Goonies. Richard Donner being in this as a producer, and trying to really capture that for more of a teen and adult audience compared to Goonies being, for the kids only. So I think it worked out well. This is a movie that he made like on an 8.5 million budget, which is still relatively low even in the 80s. This was a minor hit when it came out for him, but it really brought him into like becoming the director that he would be. I think it made 32 million worldwide, so it still made its money back and more. And of course, as we all know, like this thing became a cult classic, and it's VHS rentals to DVDs to Blu-rays, whatever, has gone on to keep the movie alive and well. So yeah, I think I agree. Everything's balanced pretty well. I like the story with the mom too. How she's not only she's like very hip,
Yeah.
she's always there for her kids. She tells them, "Oh, if you need to talk to me, you could talk to me." It's like she remembers what it is to be a teenager, and she's trying to let them like live their life and how they want to live it, not giving them too many boundaries, which is something that happened a lot in the 80s and 90s. I know kids now are a little bit more confined, and there's this sense of danger nowadays because of the phones, and we have all this information. There was always danger. It's always been there. I think it's the same. It's just that now you hear about it all the time. So it's made parents paranoid a little bit. I think before you had that, you know. And I love the grandfather in this movie too. That we're talking about characters, how he introduces them with the fridge, and he's like, "This little part of the fridge is mine. Don't touch it." He's super cool, but he's funny, and he's like one of those guys that always wants to stay home, and like he has this really badass car from the 50s, like brand new in great shape. And he goes with Sam to the car. He's like, "All right, we're going to town." And he turns it on. He's like, "All right." And then he just turns it off and he goes, "That's as far as I want to go into town." Like, doesn't want to go. I thought that scene was really funny and cool. And it also made me feel like when they did finally take the grandfather's car for a spin without asking him, I was like, "Oh man, he's gonna be pissed." But he took it pretty light, man. He got home. He's like, "Just make sure you put gas in it next time." And we do find out that the grandfather kind of knew that there was vampires around town. So yeah, overall, all the characters, other than the Frog Brothers, for me are very enjoyable. And I think Joe Schumacher definitely blended the teen rebellion and the horror elements really well throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. And you brought up something that actually it made me think of a few things too when it comes to the whole like balance in the film. Um, it does show the angle of the mom as well as Lucy, her getting back into like the dating world. Like it's crazy how for a movie not well being an hour and a half or so long, how he was able to add so many different like how do I word this? So many examples of different ways of life for people like for like I mentioned earlier from a divorcee where you see her transitioning moving in with the dad, her starts trying to date again, and then you have
Hmm.
the brothers, the whole teenage stuff, but then also with Mike no, again damn it, with David, um where it begs to ask the question, what would you do if you were eternal and you could live forever? And it shows that with David and his crew, where it's like with them, like, what do you do if you're a vampire, and you look young and everything? And it just shows them literally just hanging out, riding motorcycles. I mean, what else is there to do? And man, I mean, again, like I thought that there was so many different angles covered in this film, and everything was put in perfectly. I think the pacing, the timing was just right for character development in this. The horror elements were fantastic. I love the fact that for the majority of the movie, like at least the first half or so, you don't see the vampires. You just see them swooping down, and you're just wondering the whole time, like, what do they look like? And it's not until the big reveal where they're at the beach and they have Michael with them, and they're showing him they're hunting those people on the beach near the fire and everything that are just jamming out, and then you actually see David's face change into a vampire for the first time. And I mean, I know you were saying earlier that you wanted that there wasn't enough David in the film, but man, with this one, I have to disagree because I think to me, quality over quantity, less is more. And I think they captured that perfectly with this film. Like the fact that they didn't show the vampires till like very ways into the film, the fact that David wasn't always there, just like Freddy Krueger. I mean, we know that Freddy in the first film in particular, he's not really in there at all, dude. I mean, he was in there for what, 18 minutes or something, and you just to be able to create a villain where you constantly feel that he's in the room no matter what, without having to show him, I think that's the art itself. And they were able to capture that with David perfectly. He didn't have to speak much, but he said enough. He wasn't really there much, but you could still feel him all the time. Um, but between the balance of everything, all the character arcs, the horror elements were just absolutely great, man. Was and talking about horror elements, was there any moment in the film where you were kind of like, if you were in that situation, like, oh shit, like, would you do anything different if you were in a certain situation, or was there any scene that kind of made you feel, even though it's a fun movie, but anything that made you feel uncomfortable at all?
Well, well, before I forget, let me specify it. Like what I meant was with David, it's not that I think he should be in the movie more. I agree with you. I think he has the perfect screen time, and it's fine. I just meant like for me, for putting him in my top, 10
Oh,
vampire.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
No, no, no. Like I definitely wouldn't put him there because he's not in it enough for the fact that because there's so many vampire movies, would I put him in my top 5? But I don't think we should have more of him. I agree with you. The balance of it is fine, and we even have a little moment where you kind of feel like when we find out later on that Max is the main vampire at the end of the movie. Then you kind of see how every time they would see each other, he would kick them out, or they go to his house, and we do get that one scene where he goes to his house and we see Max's face like about to lit up, and it just cuts to something else, and we never really find out what happened to Max. And then, which would also make you think at the end, did David turn Max into a vampire? And then later on, when it finally ends, you realize no, it's the other way around. Max is the main one. He's almost like a father figure to David, right? So it has a little time to kind of trick you a little bit, and also kind of have like that little father figure thing with the vampires as you see the other side of it with the mom and her having to balance her teenage kids. But man, I'm sorry. What was the question? Because I just wanted to talk to you about the David thing right quick before you asked me right before. What was the question again?
Oh no, I was just asking if there was any particular part in the film that either that you would have done something different as one of the characters, or was there any scene in particular? Because even though it is a fun film, it's like kind of like a punk rock, sexy movie. Was there any horror element in the film that kind of either made you uncomfortable or scared you at any point?
No, I think this is a pure fun movie for me. E- I don't know. Like, I'm not saying in real life, like I won't get scared of things because I do. I'm not trying to. But when it comes to movies, I've been watching horror movies for so long that very rarely do I get scared anymore. I still enjoy the hell out of them. And this movie never really was scary to me. It was always just a fun vampire movie. If anything, I don't know if I would change it, but it does have that element that we see a lot. And this movie did it a little bit before, but not really. I think Nightmare on Elm Street did it first, then this one, and then Home Alone, where it's the whole booby trap thing. They don't do it too much in this movie, but they do set up the house to have like the garlic and the holy water, which was a funny scene by the way that I do like from the Frog Brothers. Is when they go to steal the holy water from the church, and they're just like after they steal it, they're like, "All right, right on, man." I thought that was a fun scene. But yeah,
Dude,
it's funny as we get into Vampire Month because we're trying to focus on vampire months for the month of November. We're gonna see a lot of this. For some reason, holy water and water guns happens a lot. And we'll probably dive into that a little more. But no, to answer the question, nothing that's necessarily scared me, but I think as a whole the third act, the finale was a lot of fun, and stuff like that. But what was there something that stood out for you that scared you maybe when you saw this as a kid?
not really, man. I mean, I've always loved the movie. Like, it was never scary to me. I always just thought it was so freaking awesome. Like, I know it's a horror movie and everything, but yeah, it never, like, it always felt like a horror movie, but not like scary horror. Like, it's just fun and, again, sexy, exciting. I'm like, I wanted to be in this movie type horror. Like, instead of all the other ones where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be in this one.
Yeah, you
Um,
wanted to you want to live in Carla in the
Oh
80s.
yeah, dude, be in a motorcycle, just hanging out with Michael and everybody, and David and all the guys, and pick on the Frog Brothers. No, I'm kidding. No bullying here. But dude, it's funny that you mentioned water guns because it's true. It's a pretty brilliant way to just. It's very cheap. You go to the dollar store, get a few water guns. go get some holy water, donate a few bucks. Um, but dude, that scene where they go and steal the holy water, I thought it was hilarious, but also it didn't make sense because they filled up like it was 3 canteens that they filled up, right? 3 canteens, but then they filled a whole tub full of water. So I kept thinking, I was like, did they fill the tub with normal water plus
Yeah.
holy water? Did
That's
they
what I think. I always took it like that. Like
Yeah,
just mixing the holy water with regular water kind of dilutes it a little bit, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's all there, so it's enough. But yeah, if it was just that, it wouldn't even fill up, not even a little bit of like not even 20% of it. But I
yeah.
think it was mostly water, and then they just mixed in. That's what I like to think, but they really don't show it being
They
filled up with
diluted it
regular water.
unless they kept going around to every church in town to like could just keep stealing water. They spent like a whole month collecting holy water, but yeah, I thought that was funny. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, did you? What was the question? I'm sorry. You.
No, no, I just threw it back at you. The same thing that you had asked me, just how you felt about it.
Oh
If it
yeah,
was
no,
scary
sorry,
for you
dude.
as a kid.
No, yeah. So, yeah, no, it wasn't scary. I will say though that even watching this movie as a kid and then watching it as an adult, it just felt the same. Like it aged so well. There was nothing of this film that I was like, man, you know what? This part in particular didn't age well. I would definitely change this. The dialect, everything in the movie was just very grounded, aged like fine wine. Everything was so good. Again, the style of the music, it's just it's crazy because it's very rare for me to watch a movie from especially from the 80s or even the 90s and then watching it now and it's not as relatable anymore. But this is one for me that it's just timeless.
Yeah. Yeah, so since it's a timeless movie and we're living in these days, do you think, because this happens a lot, that the Lost Boys would work today as a modern reboot, or do you think it should just stick to the '80s since it really captured the '80s so well?
I don't I don't think it would work as a reboot um unless like there's certain exceptions, right? It's just that we lived in such a technological world now with cameras in every corner, every light and all that. That to be a vampire and being able to get away with this without being undetected would be almost impossible. I mean, you have the situation with Fright Night where they did the reboot in the modern time, and that one worked because they were in Vegas, the city nobody ever sleeps, and all that stuff, and a lot happens. A lot of people go missing in Vegas. It's a big thing. So that one did work. Obviously, with the whole magician thing, that was a little weird. But with this one, if they were to do a reboot, which there's no need to, but if they do a reboot, I think it should be a timepiece of the 80s. Or I would even say 90s. That would be a different maybe the music would be so much different and all that stuff. The style would still be pretty punk rock and grunge, but it would be slightly different. Um, But yeah, I don't know. I don't think this should ever be touched. I think that it's perfect the way it is. It doesn't need to be touched. I mean, the acting, everything just holds up, man. Like there's no actors out there that could I think that could pull off being David or Michael or the Frog Brothers or Sam. Like no like I don't know, these characters, even the grandpa, like no these characters are just these actors are just indispensable, dude. They're amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I wouldn't want it to be remade. I think we got those, and I watched both. Actually, before I owned the 4K version of Lost Boys, I had the trilogy one that came with all three of them. So I did watch two and three, and I did not like them. Funny enough, Kiefer Sutherland's son, I think for the second one, played the vampire, so they did bring that in there.
Oh.
Um, they weren't like terrible, but here's the problem. If you like the Frog Brothers in the original, I get it because they're kids and stuff. The problem is in these sequels, they brought them back and they were acting exactly the same as adults. The guy's still wearing the freaking thing like Rambo. I'm like, dude, it's been over 30 years. No one's gonna. It's almost like that new Beetlejuice movie. I liked it, but having the girl with the same hairstyle from the one, like, no teenager is gonna keep their hair exactly though, especially a woman. into her 40s, 50s, you know? So, yeah, the sequels didn't work for me, and that kind of shows how a reboot, even if you made it, because we talk about this a lot. If you're gonna remake a movie, why not just have it take place in the same time so then you don't have to worry about the new technology? But this movie's done so well in the 80s, like why even remake it from and have it take place in the 80s or even the 90s? Just like we already got the movie. It's good. Like we're good to go. So yeah, that's a hard pass for me. I think the movie's fine the way it is. Even with its goofiness and little things I might not like about it, it's kind of what gives it its charm of that era. So now you would definitely have to cut all that out. So no, I think we're good. I think let's leave it as is, and we already got those sequels that a lot of people didn't even watch, and let's just keep it as is.
Yeah, man. I just we've gotten too comfortable with reboots and remakes, and we just need to learn to let things be. Like, I mean, there's certain films like this is just perfect the way it is, man. Like, I couldn't think of another director that would be able to redo this movie and be able to capture the certain talking points that they did in this film. Again, with all the relationships between the divorcee or divorcee, the relocation of teenagers, the difficulties of being a boy and growing up as a teenager and hitting puberty and all that stuff, being a teenage vampire, like all that, man. It's just everything was captured so perfectly. Even the grandpa, it's funny because he's a widower, and they kind of capture that as well, where he's like they covered every angle of the human existence for the most part in this film. And most people won't notice, but I'm hoping if you guys are watching or listening to this, when you rewatch the movie, pay a little closer attention to that. And you're going to see that for each person out there, there's a character in this film for you. I mean, and that's I completely forgot about the grandpa being a widower and trying to date again,
Yeah.
and just his humor too after everything, man. When you get to that age and you're kind of living alone out there and knowing there's vampires and shit out there, and he just still keeps his humor. Like wait, and not to go not to go off on a tangent because I know we're talking about the reboot or anything, but I wanted to quickly say it's like 'cause I just remember too. You brought it up earlier with the whole fridge when he has this little section in the fridge, like the little shelf, and it says I think it said old fart or something on there,
Yeah.
and he did that himself. And I thought it was funny as hell. The whole thing with the taxidermy where he's constantly messing with Sam, but every day putting a different taxidermy animal on his nightstand. I thought that was funny. And just him getting excited to go on a date and using like I think it was like window cleaner or something as for aftershave.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
or he's like,
It's
why do you
Windex
need
or something.
Windex? That's what it was. Windex. He's like, oh, that'll work. Or when Sam's like, "Oh, Grandpa, do you have a TV? Because you have a TV guide." And he's like, "Why do you need a TV when you could just read the TV guide?" Um, I thought that was a lovable character and somebody like that. I couldn't think of a modern actor right now that could pull that type of charm and comedy off to be him. So I don't know. Let's keep it. Let's keep the Lost Boys an original masterpiece. Maybe do a Criterion release for it. I feel like if we got Chronos, in Criterion, I feel like it'd be kind of cool to have the Lost Boys in there with a ton of special features and all that.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get that because to be honest, dude, the special features are not bad in these movies, and I gotta tell you, man, the Warner Brothers 4K looks amazing. So the only thing Criterion could, I guess, do is add a little bit more special features and maybe get a better cover because this cover is terrible.
Yeah.
But with that being said, kudos to Warner Brothers, man. They do really good job with their 4K transfers for the most part. I mean, we're talking movies like this or The Shining and stuff like that. Like, just they're really good at it. So but I agree. I get that point of wanting to have like the ultra badass edition. This movie deserves it for sure. So if that ever comes out, that'd be great. But I do think what we got now is pretty damn good if you guys want to check it out.
Well, let me ask you real quick for that 4K for the special features. Was there any new special features compared to the Blu-ray, the original release?
Um, you know what? I'm not sure because once I bought this one, I kept the disc of 2 and 3 just to have
Yeah.
them. I put them away on their own, and I gave away the original one to a friend. And I can't remember. I could tell you that there is the Lost Boys retrospective documentary, which I'm guessing was on that already, right? So
Yeah. So
yeah,
the original has that retrospective documentary. It has the return of Sam and
the
the
Fog
Fog
Brothers.
Brothers, the
Yeah.
two Corys, and then the multi-angle video commentary, vamping
Yeah.
out the undead
Ramping up.
creations of Greg, the inside of Vampire's Cave, 4 featurettes, the Vampire Photo Gallery, Lou Graham Lost in the Shadows music video, and a World of Vampires interactive map.
Yeah, and it
So
has the story of the two Corys, right?
yes, it has a story.
Okay.
Yeah, of them
Yeah.
like hanging out and making like I think they made what
Yeah.
7 movies or something together, 7 or 8 movies.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, yes, it is the exact same features. I guess outside of
Okay,
the transfer, you're not getting anything else. But there's a lot of good features in it already. Like, the ones that you already have on the Blu-ray are good. I don't know what else they could add. Joel Schumacher passed away. Maybe
yeah,
they could do like
a
a nice
reunion.
little reunion, yeah, a reunion with the cast and just have them reminisce about the stuff. Other than that, I don't see them adding too much more that would be interesting, at least for me. But
Well,
yeah, it'll be always be cool to revisit it, and I don't think you could do much to the transfer, but you could add some features for sure.
oh, absolutely, man. Well, since you brought up WB and this whole release and everything, I want to do a quick little transition to our sponsors. So,
Yep.
guys, if you're looking to get a copy of The Lost Boys 4K or the Blu-ray, make sure to check out. This sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Valoria Video, your home for physical media, horror classics, and late night Blu-ray and 4K, and maybe even DVD treasures. Now, if you use the code Face the Movies 10, you get 10% off your next order. So, from the Lost Boys to the Hunger, get your vampire fix on. I was gonna say on tape while you still can, but we no longer do tape. Unless you do, I still collect VHS, so don't be ashamed. But for anybody watching this, I'm putting it up on your screen here. So you do have Valoria Video, Face the Movies 10. And if for any reason, if they don't have a copy, they're out of stock or anything like that, no worries. We've got Monster Mall to get your back. So Monster Mall, MAUL. If you use the code Face the Movies, you save 10% off any used pre-owned titles or $1 off new releases or pre-orders. Now, since this is not a new release, you might be able to find it used and get the 10% off. Plus, obviously, get a little cheaper because it's been pre-owned. But if not, guys, check out Valoria Video. So I hope these discount codes help support the podcast, the channel, and help support small business. So if anything, keep these in your back pocket. The holidays are coming around. Maybe get yourself a little gift of movies. But let's move on, dude. Let's go on to what's your favorite scene in the film? The bridge, the cave, or that ending twist, or something else?
Man, I mean, I really like a lot of those three things for sure. I like the bike stuff too when he tells them see if you could keep up and they just go on riding the motorcycles and he has to go through the stairs and then they lead him to that part where he almost falls off the mountain type thing. I enjoy that, but I think even though I don't like the cover of the 4K too much, I do love that scene of the bridge. That's probably my favorite scene because talk about using a lot of fog. There's so much fog that it keeps it a mystery and it's kind of scary for Michael to let go. And they're ball holding on. This train passes and it's shaking. And this is where Michael finds out that he becomes a vampire after he drinks what he thought was wine, but it's really blood in the cave with these guys. And he tries to hold on. He's scared. They're all letting go. And just all the fog and the way they disappear into it and Michael finally lets go, and you as an audience member don't really know what happens to him until you see him the next day. He just gets home and he's okay. And you're like, what the hell happened? But it keeps it mysterious. I love the way it's shot, and who doesn't love fog in vampire movies? The king of fog in vampire movies, I think, is still Fright Night, but this one has this great fog scene here with the bridge. So I'm gonna go with the bridge for this one.
Dude, that's a good choice, man. The bridge is great. The atmosphere in this movie is absolutely fantastic, dude. Like, it's true. It's the fog, like not being able to see. See, for me, my favorite scene was the that overlook, like when they're racing on the beach and they get to the edge there and you see like the lighthouse and everything. That was my favorite scene, just because of how scary that is. Where he could have easily just driven off, but he didn't. I did feel though, somebody that rides motorcycles, I'll tell you this from experience. when they were out riding the bikes on the sand, the one thing that was not believable was literally riding the bikes in the sand without any eye protection. Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now that not even being on the sand, just being on the road, and once you start going like 20 miles per hour, the wind
Yeah.
already, everything just starts flying into your eye. And the fact that when you watch the movie, that the dirt bikes are right behind each other, and you see those clouds of sand going all over their faces and everything. I'm honestly surprised, and I'm curious if any of the stunt people, because I know Kiefer, for example, he was some of them they were riding their own bikes. I know Kiefer sustained an injury where he, I believe, broke his wrist. So yeah, he did break his wrist while riding the motorcycle.
Yeah.
But I don't. During that scene, I'm wondering if those were stunt doubles, because obviously you see them from a distance, and if they sustained any eye injury or anything. Because even just one little grain. I don't know if you've ever gotten sand or anything like that or dirt in your eye,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but dude, it's the worst. And I could only imagine like how uncomfortable that must have been doing that part. Out of all the scenes, I think that one must have been the most uncomfortable scene to do. But I think it's that one. Like just when they get to that end, and he's like just you when he shoves them. He's like
Mm,
just you, and he's
yeah.
like, oh Michael. Um, but it was hard. I think the runner up was the scene where they show him the hangout spot. I love the fact that that was something that actually happened, where the collapse and all that stuff for that resort really happened in real life. And
Mm,
I thought that was a cool way to add his history and everything, and just the way they designed it and all that. I thought it was very beautiful. It felt cozy for like a vampire lair. It felt very warm and cozy in there, and they got the surfboards and everything. So that was a second runner up for me, the unveiling of the lair.
yeah. I think for me the second runner up is, and you spoke about this earlier, when they first reveal the vampires and they're just killing all those people in the beach.
That's
Uh,
cool.
I really like that scene a lot too. But yeah, I mean, even the ending twist is not bad. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things in this movie that are fun, but I think we're just calling out on the ones that were the funnest for us, and yeah, those are awesome choices also for sure. Um, but let's throw some a little bit of the fun facts we have left. We've already said a few. You know, I spoke about the murder capital of the world thing where it was actually shot. You've just mentioned about Kiefer Sutherland getting hurt, and we spoke about the title coming from Peter Pan, from the Lost Boys from Peter Pan. So I got a couple of ones that maybe we don't have, but it's very small. The only thing I have left is that the movie was shot pretty fast in 21 days. So that's pretty fast. And every year, in the boardwalk from where the movie was shot, the boardwalk in the actual Santa Cruz, they still show this movie there for free for everyone to come watch it once a year. So I
Damn.
think that's awesome. I would love to go watch it over there, and I love to frequently go to California. So maybe next time, I've never been to this area, so maybe one day I can go. I got to find out when they air this movie. I think it would be a perfect time to air it in the summer, because even though, because the movie takes place in the summer, so I would think they do it in the summer. So those are a couple of extra little things there.
Well, I did have one in particular, which was, so for the song "Cry Little Sister" in the movie, so Marilyn Manson actually did his own version. And I'll tell you, as far as for the film, I don't want it to be touched, left alone. As far as for the music, I'm sometimes a fan of when people do their own versions. And if you get a chance to listen to Marilyn Manson's version of this song, it's so damn good. Like I know for a fact that for any reason, if they ever decided to do, because I know they tried to do the TV show and all that stuff, or like a TV show reboot. So I don't know if they used his version or not, or that's why he did it. However, if they were able, some reason they were crazy enough to try to do a reboot or something, I think that his version is perfect with the times. Dude, highly recommend listening to it. It's so good. I just listened to it a few days ago, and I added it to one of my playlists. I was like, man, this is good. But
Yeah, he's good at remaking songs. I mean, Sweet Dreams
oh
is, I
yeah.
mean, amazing remake. He's done a few other ones. He did one I forgot the one he did for Not Another Teen Movie. That was a good one too. Had an awesome music video.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so yeah,
remember that.
he's
Tainted, I think it's called Tainted Love,
Tainted
or
Love, the Tainted
yeah.
Love one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's good at that. And then this one's good. I've heard it before too, for sure. such an iconic song in this movie, and to be able to redo it and still be good, is pretty cool also. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, and then we have obviously talking about iconic. We do have the original "Cry Little Sister" theme by Gerard McMahon, and he became one of the most horror. It became one of horror's most recognizable songs. I mean, to this day, this song holds up. It's so good. And then we have another little fun fact, kind of behind the scenes type situation. So this film was originally conceived to be a kid-friendly Goonie style vampire movie, and then Joel Schumacher came in, and I remember when I was watching the behind the scenes, it took a bit of convincing because they didn't want to, and he was like, "Look, I'm not going to do it if it's not darker and it's not sexier." So eventually they caved. They let him do it. Thank God they did. I could understand why with the Frog Brothers they kind of left them the way they were too. They still wanted to keep a little of the Goonies aspect on there,
Hmm.
feed off of that, especially during the time. But
Yeah.
the best choice they could have done was to make this way darker and sexier the way they did. It's just such an iconic film, man. And I know throughout this episode for the last hour and 15 minutes, we've repeated ourselves with that, but I just can't stress it enough. If you've seen this film and you're listening to us or watching us, you understand where we're coming from. I mean, it's just so good. I know there's a lot of movies out there that are iconic, but then a lot of people say, "Oh, those are overrated." But this one's one where I never hear anybody say it's overrated. I never hear any negative stuff of The Lost Boys ever. Like anytime it comes up, people would just get excited for it, and they're always bring up a "Cry Little Sister" song.
Yeah,
Now,
which brings us. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, I was like, as far as for like our little discussion, man, I wanted to see because there's so much that goes on into this film. Was there any comedic points, anything that really made you laugh during this movie? Because there's some good comedic relief throughout.
I think for me, the funny enough, the grandfather was the one that made me laugh the most. The thing with the car that I mentioned,
Yeah.
the fridge thing, the at the end revealing that he's like, "Ugh, this is a good place to live, but those damn vampires, you know, just and there's a lot of things going on in the background with the grandfather. Like for example, he's like fixing up a fence, but he has this big wooden stake and he makes it really pointy. And you realize that he's really doing it because he's gonna kill vampires. Like he comes in at the like you can't say, oh, this came out of nowhere at the end where he's just like driving his car through the house and these big stakes just killed David because I mean not David, Max, because you see him working on the house using those things. So he's using them. The movie does a good job of kind of having everything prepared. Like it's not like, oh well, this came out of nowhere, you know. And I know that has nothing to do with comedy. I just wanted to mention that because of the grandfather. I thought he, for me, had pretty much all the comedic moments. I honestly can't remember. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of them. I just can't remember right now. But he's the one. He's the standout for me.
Well, do you think he was secretly a vampire hunter? Because I mean, it's true.
It could be.
Throughout the whole film, I noticed the exact same thing, especially after the rewatch. He's like prepping throughout the entire film. He's prepping. He and not to mention he's always leaving. Like he's always
Yeah.
disappearing, and he's always like, yeah, he's on a date and stuff, but he's always also just randomly disappearing, and he's just so calm about it.
Yeah, he's been living there for so long. Who knows? He's probably been killing vampires in Santa Carla for a very long time, and he just doesn't want to expose it to his family. It also made me think at the end. I'm like, well, if you knew that there was so much vampires here, why did you tell your daughter and the two young kids to move there? You should have been like, no, don't come here. It's a little too dangerous. But I think it's also because of that. Maybe he's like, well, I'll protect them.
Well, I just had an interesting thought. So, if they were ever to do anything with this film, what do you think about a prequel where the grandfather, he did kind of hunt vampires or kill them if he came across them, and it shows a younger Max. So kind of like his origins, how he converts David and how he converts everybody else into vampires. Do you think that would be an interesting instead of a reboot, maybe like
Yeah.
that type of prequel? Do you think that would work?
Yeah, I think that would be more interesting than a sequel or a prequel. I mean, not a prequel. A prequel would be more interesting than a sequel or a remake. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I think taking it to the 50s, we already got the car. We can see how he got that car and everything, and just like killing vampires in Santa Carla in those days. Yeah, make it a period piece because you'd have to, 50s was so long ago at this point. I think we got a lot of that in the 80s and 90s as kids, seeing a lot of 50s stuff. Now it's like really back there. So would there be interest? I think so. So yeah, if there were to mess with it, that sounds like a pretty cool little idea compared
Well,
to a reboot.
what about instead of going all the way to the 50s, if they kept it closer, like maybe the 70s? Because
Yeah,
this one came out in 87. So what about if they did maybe like the mid 70s type situation or something?
Yeah, I was only thinking mainly the 60s, the 50s, not only because of the car, also because grandpa looks at least 80 years old.
That's
So I was
true.
like, in the 80s, take away at least 30 years, he'll still be 50 in the 50s. So if
Yeah,
you put him in the 70s, he's already pushing like 70. So he's pretty old to be hunting vampires. He
that's
might,
true.
hurt himself. But you could always mess with that, or just make him like, oh yeah, he looked 80, but it was the 80s. Everyone looked older. He was really only 60s, and then you could go, okay, well, he was only 40. Let's put him in the early 70s or late 60s or something.
Dude,
So
it really is crazy how people looked older back then. And I know I saw this video online not too long ago, and they were showing the different hairstyles and the clothing that really age people. But I'm gonna tell you something. Jason Patrick, Kiefer Sutherland, like they don't look 18. They look like they were 23, 24, like mid 20s, and
yeah,
especially Jason Patrick. Like, dude, it was so hard for me to believe that he was in high school. He's a grown ass man in this movie. That
yeah,
dude is not 18. He's at minimum he's like 22 or something. But it is funny to see back then because I do that a lot whenever me and my girlfriend watch movies, and you see a lot of the dad roles or whatever in these movies, or even like for example, let's talk about the Halloween movies, right? Like the sheriff in the film, like in the first film or the second film, and I'll tell her, I was like, I bet you anything that guy's like 30 years old or he's like 29 years old. And she's like, no way, he looks old as hell. Like they're like bald, all this stuff. She'll look it up, and I'll tell her, I'm like, you see, I'm 38. I'm older than these guys in these films and these roles that they're playing. But they look so much old. They're like 10, 15 years younger than me, and they look like 10, 15 years older than me. And it's just crazy how people aged back then. But
yeah.
not to derail too much, going back to as far as like like some of our favorite comedic moments, to me, the one that really made me laugh was when Sam finds out that Michael's a vampire and he yells at him, and he's like, my own brother, a goddamn vampire. He's like, wait until mom finds out about this, and he runs up the stairs.
Yeah.
That delivery, I mean, dude, it was so funny. He's like, my own brother, a goddamn vampire.
Yeah.
He was so disappointed in him. It's like he could have
Yeah.
been. He just. It's almost like if he just like was out doing crack or doing something crazy. It's like no, he's a he's like it's like the most disgusting thing in the world to him. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that was a
but
funny scene for sure.
yeah, dude, I thought that was funny. I, one scene, it wasn't comedy, but I did, and I wanted to mention that before I forgot. So in the because you brought up about Kiefer, like with Max, getting killed, impaled, and all that, and dying. So I noticed with each of the vampires, with each of their deaths, it correlated with what the Frog Brothers said throughout the film. Because earlier in the film, the Frog Brothers mentioned how each vampire could die differently. Some of them die screaming, some of them explode, some of them die peacefully. And you notice that with each of the vampire crews. Well, in the beginning, obviously, you have the first one, and there's just explosion, there's blood everywhere. And then you have the one in the tub where he's like melting and screaming and stuff. But then you have David, where he just very peacefully just dies, very gracefully, and all that stuff. So that was one thing I wanted to point out that I don't know if that many people caught, or if you noticed that when they said that, and then you see it happen throughout the movie, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that means they died a certain way because of their personality. Like, David was he was very stoic and just chill. So he kind of just died that way where he's still cool. Even when he dies, he's just so cool shit. Um
Mhm. It could be. I mean, we could explain maybe Marco's glitter blood or something. Maybe he just liked glitter. He was
yeah,
a
hey,
he was a glittery guy. He was the the pretty boy or something.
He
Sure.
really you notice that a lot with him. Like he's one of the quietest ones out of the group, and he's always observing. You notice that when they're in the video store, which I thought was really cool, a freaking video store. But you see him; he's the last one to walk out, and he just kind of looks around. And a little fun fact: so the actor that plays Marco, the vampire, he was actually the youngest one, and the out of
Well,
the
he does look younger compared to the other ones. He
yeah
actually looks like he's like 19 or something, compared to, like you said, Jason Patrick that looks like he's 24.
yeah, and he was and he. It's funny because he was 18. So I think the the guy that plays Marco, he must have been like 16 or 17 in this movie. Because if he was the youngest one and then the other guys are around like they're I don't think any of the other guys were older than 18. But you could just see it, dude. He had such a baby face. It was crazy. Um but
Yeah.
hands
And
down.
before we finish, I just want to, as a character, as an actress, I want to shout out Kelly Jo Minter because she works in the video store and you only see her in the background a lot when the mom's there. But she had lines in this movie and she got cut. But she's the girl, as a Freddy fan, she's from Nightmare on Elm Street. She comes out in the Dream Child. She's one of the friends,
I remember
and
her. Yeah.
she comes out in People Under the Stairs and stuff like that. I just want to mention her right quick before we finish because I know she was meant to have a bigger role and they cut her, but you still see her in the background in the video store and stuff. So
Good
I thought
old
that was.
good old Lee trying to rush us. He's trying to get us to finish over here.
No, no, no. I'm
No,
not
no.
trying to rush. I'm just saying I want to mention her before we complete the episode. I wanted to give her because we already spoke about the cast. Just want to give her a shout out. I know that Freddie kind of sucked her dry in that movie, so it was good to see her nice and well in this one.
Yeah, man, she looked amazing in this movie. I kept noticing her, and it's funny. I'm glad you brought that up. I, I kept seeing her and thinking she's very familiar. Where have I seen her from? And complete night and day compared to playing like the nerdy girl from Nightmare on Elm Street. Um,
Oh, actually, we're both wrong. She's not the one that gets sucked in the classroom. That's not the actress. She plays a dream child. She's hanging out with them. And I remember she's wearing like a yellow bikini and stuff. Which she's
oh, the
a
swimmer.
the swimmer. The swimmer.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
who she
that's what it
is.
was.
Yeah,
The swimmer.
yeah,
Okay, that's definitely her then.
yeah.
Uh,
I forgot her death in it. You saw them a little more recent, but yeah, I was thinking of the other girl from part four. This is the girl from part five, but
yeah.
she's a good actress and she's pretty good. And she's been in a. I remember her from People Under the Stairs a lot too. So shout out to her.
Well, talking about the actors and everything, Star. Dude, absolutely gorgeous, man. Like
Mm.
she definitely she did a great job. I know with Jamie, she had actually done some play, or I think she was on Broadway or something with Jason. They'd done something before, and that's why. And Jason was actually the one that recommended her. He had done something already
Oh yeah.
with her before. She was amazing. They had chemistry. He recommended her. They brought her on, and originally, I know Joel wanted a blonde. He wanted like a blonde with a kind of like a pixie cut type, and he went through so many countless blondes in the casting process, and he just could not find anybody. And then when Jason recommended her, then and she came on board immediately, he was like the beautiful hair, like everything about her, and then seeing the chemistry, he's like, you know what, we're gonna go a different direction. And that this is one of the reasons why, guys, when it comes to not forcing things, sometimes if it doesn't work, just try a different route, a complete different. And that's what they did. They went from blondes to brunettes, and in this case, I guess blondes don't have more fun in this movie. But I just want to bring up Star because she was just absolutely stunning, gorgeous, captivating. I mean, that scene where they're listening to the music and she's just there kind of dancing, minding her own business. And just, she definitely, out of all those hundreds of people, she stood out of the crowd. And it was incredible to see. There any of, or I guess to reword the question, what was your favorite character in the movie? Or least, like, I want you to tell me your most favorite character and then your least favorite character.
Well, Corey Haim as Sam is probably my favorite character, and the grandpa. But yeah, Corey Haim, like you said, he had the comedic moments. I thought his acting was really good. To me, he's the main character of this movie. Um, Jason Patrick goes off, Michael, and does other things. He's more of the center. He's the one that believes in the vampires. He's the one that's with the mom. He's got like I just feel like I don't even. I think if someone was to check, I think he probably has the most screen time too. Like he feels like the main character. My
Yeah.
least favorite is easily the Corey Feldman. I just not a big fan of his, and I didn't like him as the main. The other Frog Brother's okay, but he's my least favorite, Mr. Rambo. But honestly, not enough for me to differ from this movie or to make it bad or anything. She's if I had to pick a worse one, it's not terrible, but
Yeah.
my least favorite.
Um, I'm trying to think if I had a least favorite. Damn, dude, it's kind of hard because I didn't really have to like. I guess if I was to pick a least favorite, probably Corey Feldman would be the least one. If I had to pick anybody. Now, as far as for favorites, man, that's a hard one. I want to go with. I think I want to go with Jason Patrick. I mean, the dude was just so cool. Like he was just such a cool dude. He was a good brother. Um, and he was just out there trying to hook up with Star, just trying to be like trying to be
Can't blame him.
cool, join a motorcycle gang. And it is true. Corey Haim's character Sam definitely felt like he was the centerpiece of the film. I mean, and I loved him. I thought he was dude, he was funny as shit. Like he was just so funny. When he gets scared when he sees that the little thing that his grandpa made him. I forgot what it's called. I mentioned it earlier. You know what I'm talking about? He embalmed the the animal.
Oh, the taxidermy
The
animal?
taxidermy, yeah. When he sees it there and it scares the shit out of him, and he picks it
Yeah,
up and he puts it in the closet, and there's like
it's
20
full.
other ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought Sam was just absolutely hilarious. I mean, even when Michael's floating around in the window and he's like, "Sam, help me," and then just Sam is just screaming hysterically. Or he's trying to call his mom. He's like, "Oh, he's trying to kill me," and this and that. He was just funny, but I think he was like the close second for me. I don't know. I just thought that Michael was cool as shit. Like he was just seeing him transition when he moves there and with the leather jacket and kind of trying to establish himself and find himself in the movie. I loved his character arc. I love that he had the choice to be eternal and to be with Star and be a vampire and all that, and he chose not to. Like he chose to protect his family, protect her. He was able to save her and save the little boy, which we didn't talk much about the little boy. I'm trying to remember his name, um, but the little boy, the little vampire. You know, I
Yeah,
always
the
like to
milk
pray.
carton kid.
The milk carton kid, yeah, yeah. He did such a phenomenal job. He doesn't really have lines or anything like that in the film, but whenever I see like a child actor do a great job like that, I want to praise him because he really did good. He was always whenever he was there, you never forgot that he was there. He was a cool little dude jumping on the motorcycle and being brave and everything. And yeah, it was just did a fantastic job. Um, but dude, I think that's besides that, the only other cool thing that I remember was with Kiefer's character with David, where they dyed his hair blonde, right? I'm trying to remember if he came in and he dyed it himself with his hair blonde because he wanted him to kind of stand out and all that stuff. Um, Kind of like a Billy Joel type style look to him or whatever. But yeah, man, I think that's it for characters. Where was there anything that you wanted to add, or any particular scenes you wanted to talk about, or anything else in regards to the film?
No, not at the top of my head. Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, there's a lot there, and it's such a fun movie. But no, I can't think of any other one, any
Well,
other
let's
characters.
let's move on to our movie rating. Um, Now this movie is rated a 3.7 out of 5 on Letterbox. What rating are you giving it?
Well, Lost Boys, classic '80s horror. It did a lot of stuff. Everything we spoke about, from characters to directing to cinematography, just a lot of fun. I'm glad they went with the R-rated vibe to it instead of going Goonies with it, which they did a nice little mix. They did add it in there. So yeah, I'm gonna go 4 out of 5. I've always enjoyed this movie. I've owned it from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray to 4K. I've bought it too many damn times, and always a fun watch. I could watch it once a year, no problem. I have watched it once a year. Well, for the past 2 years, I think before that I didn't. But but yeah, it's such a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, I of course, if you've gotten this deep into the video, I think you've seen it, or you're definitely wanting to see it a lot. So check it out. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun. So 4 out of 5 for me.
Dude, that is a good choice. As far as for me, I actually gave it a 4.5. Um, dude, everything about this movie just it's amazing. It's a masterpiece to me, and especially when it comes to a vampire flick. I've never wanted to be in a horror movie more than watching this one. I thought it was just so damn cool. Everybody was just I could have hung out honestly with anybody, even Max, owning hang out in the video store, just shoot the
Mhm.
shit, talk about movies. Like everybody was just so likable. There was nobody in the film that really wasn't likable. Even the dog. We didn't even mention the damn dog. The dog was awesome.
Oh yeah,
He has his little moment where he's a hero and he well, there's two moments. He tackles one of the vampires into the tub and pulverizes him. And then we have that moment where Michael's starting to turn and he's considering attacking Sam while Sam's in the tub and the dog protects him.
yeah,
So, what'd you do to my dog? And he's like, the dog attacked me. He was trying to protect you.
yeah.
But I mean, dude, it was fantastic. So yeah, I gave it a 4.5. Loved it. Soundtrack. If I was to rate the soundtrack out of out of 5 stars, I'd give it 5 stars or more. Um, Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
So
it's a
guys,
great soundtrack.
yeah, dude, no, it's amazing. I can't wait to find it, man. I'm gonna see if there's like a vinyl I could pick up or something if it's at a reasonable price later on. But guys, let us know in the comments your rating for this movie if you love The Lost Boys or not. But let us know. Um, but as far as for that, the only thing left is our quick little movie recommendations. Do you want to start this one
Yeah,
off?
yeah. I'll start it off. I think there's a lot of you can watch almost like so many of these vampire movies that came after this one. The only one that came before it would be Fright Night, so I got to recommend Fright Night, another horror comedy with classic vampire charm. I do want to mention if you want to go the route of more Goonies with it, like just with the kids and stuff. That movie I mentioned earlier is called Vampires versus the Bronx. It's on Netflix. It's not the greatest movie, but it's a fun little quick watch if you want to check it out. I think it runs about an hour 25. So I definitely recommend that if you're in the mood for more of the Frog Brother type of thing with a newer vibe to it. Obviously, that movie came out only a few years ago. And I'll also mention you got to go if you want to go deeper, darker. There's another '80s movie came out in '87, which is Near Dark, right? Catherine Bigelow, I believe, directed it. Very well made. I'm not like a huge fan of this one. I know it has a huge cult following, and it would be awesome for us to actually do an episode on this movie in sometime in the future because I would love to rewatch it. It's got that Western style vampire flick. So yeah, check those out if you wanna, stick to something a little bit like this or go even a little darker.
Dude, those are some good ones. I mean, yeah, Fright Night from 1985. You got Near. I never seen Near Dark. And it's cool that it came out the same year. Now, and obviously we got Interview with a Vampire 1994, gothic, stylish, tragic, with our surfer guy Keanu in that one. Well, no, I'm sorry, not Interview. I'm thinking of Bram Stoker's Interview with
Oh,
Vampires with Tom
it's
Cruise, Brad
Brad
Pitt,
Pitt.
Joan,
Yeah.
Kristen
Kristen
Dunst.
Dunst. Yeah.
The Hunger I've never seen. I heard it's good. It's from 1983. Another sexy, stylized 80s vampire film. And then if you want some crazy ass techno, which another one with a great soundtrack is Blade from 1998. It's 11 years apart, but it's action packed, an
Oh
evolution of
yeah.
the vampire cinema. So that one's a good one. But you've got some recommendations there, guys. And then From Dusk Till Dawn, we cannot go wrong with Dusk Till Dawn. I think such an amazing film. That's a little hint for next week's episode for you guys. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be a
remember
good.
we kind of agreed to do for November Vampire Month. So for the episodes for this month, we're gonna do vampire movies for you guys, but we promise to choose some really good fun ones. So stick with it and tune in next week. I think the cat's out of the bag, but it's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, and let us know, guys, in the comments as well if that's something you like. Where maybe every so often, because not every month is gonna be like a themed month,
No.
but we were really excited about fall and all that, and just talking about vampires. Like, what better way to do it? Um,
Hmm.
but that's it as far as for our movie recommendations, guys. Now, and as always, as we get to the end, we'll let you know, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching on my channel, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe to Face the Movies. Make sure to follow us on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whichever one you have. Now, to find the podcast, if you are listening already, make sure to follow. But if you're not and you do want to listen on there, just look up Friday Night Fright Night and you'll find us on there as well. And then make sure to follow, subscribe to Lee and to his channel, Cinema Whiplash. So go ahead and jump on there, show your support. You could also find us on Instagram as well. Face the Movies for me, Cinema Whiplash for Lee. And then I'm on Letterbox. I know Lee uses Letterbox every once in a while, but he's more IMDb. So
Mhm.
he'll let you know where to find him if you want to follow him on there. As for me, Face the Movies as well on Letterbox. So you go ahead and kind of see all the ratings. I try to keep up to date with all that stuff, so we should be good. But Lee, do you have you been using IMDb as frequently or not so much?
Yeah, on my IMDb, every time I watch a movie, I get on there. But the thing about IMDb is not a social media app, so there's no way to follow people, as far
Oh,
as I know.
okay.
But I am on Letterbox, and what I do is I make lists sometimes. I just did the list for the Predator franchise because I just saw the latest one, and I also have my movie diary, which I put in all the movies I watched. I saw like a record, like 41 movies in October. So I'm on there all the time, putting in movies that I've seen, and rating them. So yeah, I do have both. So I highly recommend both of them for different reasons. So check them out. I am on there. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And on Instagram, like you said, and I also have a link to all these episodes of Friday Night Fright Night on my Cinema Whiplash channel also. So it's all there.
Well, that about does it, guys. That wraps up on The Lost Boys, the movie that made Eternal Youth look badass.
It's got style, fangs, and a killer soundtrack, literally.
So drop your favorite vampire movie in the comments. Let us know if you join the Santa Carla gang.
And as always, thank you so much for spending Friday night with us.
Now, stay out of caves, keep your lights low, and remember, sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, and never die. See you on the next one, guys.
See ya.